I spent $100,000 to meet Tony Robbins for him to tell me this. And he said, Luke, this is what you need to do. You need to. So, for me to be successful as a coach, or for anybody, I know that the more you grow and the more you learn, the more value you can add to other people's lives. And you are paid in direct proportion into the value that you add to other people's lives. So the more value you add to you, the more value you can add to others. Now when I started out, I didn't have $100,000. I actually had $2,000 in my account, and the last $2,000 that I had, I spent it to learn how to become a life coach. And I remember that very, very clearly because I had a van, it was $1,000 this van, and I had to park it in Bondi Beach to sleep in it. And when I was sleeping in that van, I looked up to the top of the ceiling and I thought, this might be where I start, but it won't be where I finish. When I was there, I was going to the course day after day after day, and people feel sorry for me. They'd be like, oh, Luke, you're sleeping in your car, like, poor you. And I was like, what do you mean? That's all that I need. I just need somewhere to sleep, and I'm gonna use this course to change my life. And so that's what I did starting back in 2014. I remember that I did the training to become a life coach because as a school teacher, what I used to do before, I just had enough of that. I was getting 1 day a week at a school, I was sleeping at my mum's house, paying board there, and I would get $300 a week, and that would be to pay her board plus some extra food for myself. And so I wasn't going anywhere fast. And so when I got into this life coaching course, I emptied my bank account, was sleeping in my car, and I remember one lady wanted to offer me lunch. And I was like, I can't take your lunch, like don't want you to buy me anything. She goes, no, Luke, you just let me buy you lunch, it's on me. I said, no, I'm not letting you buy me lunch. I'm going to eat the lettuce and the cucumbers and all the tomatoes and things that I bought to eat out the back of my van. She's like, Luke, listen to me. She pulled me aside. She said, you need to learn how to receive. I went, whoa, that was a powerful lesson. Because I realized my whole life, I never allowed myself to receive help or receive love from other people. I was very good at giving it, but I would be terrible at allowing myself to receive it. I didn't think that I deserved that. And so I took that lesson, and I remember sitting down and I was eating the lunch, and she said, I want you to remember this day, Luke, because this is the day that has given you a lesson that is going to change your life. And so after that course, I ended up seeing that Tony Robbins was flying out to Sydney, and he was doing this program called Unleash the Power Within. And what I did was, I thought, should I spend $1,000 going to this event? If I go, I'm going to have to sleep in my car again. And that's what I did. And I remember sitting in this event, this UPW, it was in September 2014, and they had this offer that said, go and join this program called Platinum Partners and go and find out about it. And I was like, all right, I'll just go listen to it. It was his most expensive program. And I asked how much it was. They said it's $100,000 just to join. And there's $10,000 per event on top of that, 3 events a year. And I was like, wow. And I went away that day and I thought, I may not be able to afford it now, but one day I will. And so I went back, slept in my van that night, and I thought about how I was going to be a successful coach, how I was going to take so much action, I was going to help so many people, I was going to do whatever it took. And when it got to 2019, 5 years later, I finally saved up enough to spend that money. And giving $100,000 to somebody is not an easy decision. It's 2 house deposits, pretty much. And so it's not small. But when I handed over that money and I said to the lady, I said, I really hope that I get the value out of this. I really hope this works. Said, look, Tony's going to help you. And Tony, these events are the most life-changing events that you'll ever experience. So I handed over the money and I trusted. And when I went to this one event, there was only 200 people there and Tony was there speaking. And he said, all right, everybody line up and you can ask me a question. And I ran, but a lot of other people ran as well. And I was there in line and one person asked a question and he was taking ages to get help. And then another person in front of me asked a question and he was taking ages to get help. And I was like, oh my God, what if I don't get to ask my question? I paid $100,000 to do this program. And then Tony said, all right, we've got last few people. And I'm like, oh no. And then he said there was someone else that went in front of me and then someone else. And then I was the last person left. And he said, all right, I'll take one more. I was the last person that got to ask a question. I'm like, fuck, this better be a good question. And so I asked him about the direction of my business. And I said, should I keep doing somebody else's model of teaching how to do life coaching, or should I create my own life coaching model and my own business training to help people succeed as a coach? And he said, Luke, this is what you need to do. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust yourself, and you need to know that what you think is going to serve people best with all the experience you've had, you're going to be able to create something great. And that gave me the fire to learn how to trust myself. And then we created these business trainings, and then we created our own life coaching trainings. And now we produce the most successful students in the world for those that want to create the best results for their clients as a life coach. And since that day, we haven't looked back, and we just had 80 people at our last live event and 20 on the Zoom. So we had 100 people there transforming their lives and becoming the best coaches there are on earth. That is the power of learning to trust yourself.